The Galactic Empire spanned thousands of systems, an unbroken chain of dominance that had stood for millennia. Its fleets of massive dreadnoughts, bristling with weaponry and shielded by layers of energy fields, were the pinnacle of galactic military might. Its technology was the stuff of legend, with faster-than-light drives and weapons that could reduce planets to ash. To the inhabitants of the Empire, their supremacy was not a matter of debate but a fact written into the very fabric of the galaxy. For millennia, they had crushed rebellions, absorbed civilizations, and ignored those they deemed too insignificant to bother with. When Earth was first discovered, it barely registered as more than a footnote in the Empire's vast annals. A backwater planet orbiting a nondescript star, its inhabitants were deemed primitive at best. Reports indicated that humanity had only recently begun dabbling in interstellar travel, their ships clumsy and painfully slow compared to the sleek vessels of the Empire. To the Empire's analysts, Earth's resources were modest, its population unremarkable, and its technology laughably crude. Still, protocol demanded formal contact. A single Imperial envoy, flanked by a minor escort fleet, descended upon Earth's solar system to deliver the standard proclamation of Imperial authority. The humans, wide-eyed and overwhelmed, stumbled over their responses, their leaders fumbling to grasp the gravity of the situation. The Empire's envoy, a high-ranking official who had seen 100 such encounters, barely concealed their disdain as they outlined the terms of humanity's integration into the galactic fold. Earth would pay tribute, surrender its sovereignty, and submit to the Empire's governance. Resistance, they were told, was not advised. Behind the scenes, the Empire's ruling council dismissed Earth as irrelevant. The humans were no different from the countless other species that had been folded into the Empire's bureaucracy. There was no need to dedicate significant resources to the conquest of a planet that could offer little in return. Even the prototype ships Earth had begun to design were dismissed as little more than scrap metal glued together, unworthy of serious consideration. This condescension trickled down through every level of the Empire's vast machinery. Analysts joked about the humans' quaint attempts at innovation, calling them a species playing at technology. Imperial officers scoffed at reports of Earth's efforts to build defensive fleets, likening them to children armed with sticks against war machines. The Empire's hubris was absolute, born of centuries of unchallenged dominance. But on Earth, the picture was far different. Behind the facade of formal diplomacy and fearful compliance, humanity simmered with quiet defiance. The arrival of the Empire had galvanized Earth's scientific and military communities, uniting them in a way that history had rarely seen. Where once there had been competition and division, there was now a singular focus: survival. Humanity's greatest minds convened in secret, pooling resources and knowledge to confront the impossible. Among them were individuals like Dr. Ilara Finch, a brilliant engineer who had pioneered advancements in energy manipulation, and Admiral Marcus Kane, a seasoned strategist whose unorthodox tactics had earned him both respect and skepticism. These were the people who refused to accept Earth's fate as a vassal state. They worked in underground bunkers and hidden facilities, racing against time to design technologies that could give humanity a fighting chance. Earth's engineers turned their lack of resources into an advantage, devising innovations that were as unconventional as they were ingenious. Where the Empire relied on brute force and overwhelming numbers, the humans leaned into adaptability, stealth, and precision. Despite the Empire's disdain, the whispers of defiance began to spread. A prototype ship, codenamed Erebus, became the focal point of Earth's efforts. It was unlike anything humanity had built before, a vessel designed not for exploration or trade but for war. The Erebus incorporated experimental systems that pushed the boundaries of what humanity thought possible: adaptive energy shields, advanced AI, and a weapon so destructive it remained classified even among Earth's own leadership. The scientists and engineers faced endless challenges. Resources were stretched thin, political factions threatened to undermine progress, and doubts crept into even the most stalwart hearts. But the relentless drive to prove humanity's worth kept the project alive. They knew the Empire would not wait forever. At any moment, a full-scale invasion could descend upon Earth, and the Erebus might be their only hope. In the face of the Empire's condescension, humanity's resolve only hardened. They were not the helpless primitives the Empire believed them to be. They were innovators, survivors, and dreamers who had overcome countless challenges in their history. As the final stages of the Erebus project came together, the team of engineers and military strategists knew one thing for certain: humanity would not go quietly. The Galactic Empire may have dismissed them, but Earth had no intention of staying silent. Earth stood at the edge of a precipice, its fragile peace shattered by the looming shadow of the Galactic Empire. The ultimatum from the Empire had left humanity in a bind. The terms were clear: subjugation or destruction. Economic instability compounded the threat, with Earth's fledgling space programs already stretched thin. Colonies on Mars and the Moon were barely self-sustaining, and Earth's defenses, a patchwork of outdated satellites and crude missile platforms, were laughable compared to the Empire's might. The clock was ticking, and humanity had only one option: fight. The decision to create a prototype warship wasn't born out of ambition but sheer desperation. Conventional methods were useless against an enemy so vastly superior. Earth needed something entirely different, a weapon that could turn the tide, even against the insurmountable. After much debate, the leaders of Earth's Unified Defense Council approved Project Erebus. Named after the primordial darkness, it was humanity's first true attempt to level the playing field. The Erebus was envisioned not as a ship of brute strength but as a symbol of human ingenuity and adaptability. Designed in secret, it combined cutting-edge science with audacious creativity. The vessel's systems were unlike anything the Empire had ever faced. Its AI, codenamed Astra, was a quantum processor capable of making split-second decisions that no human could match. This wasn't just automation, it was strategic intuition built into the ship itself, allowing it to outthink opponents on the battlefield. Energy shields, a staple of Imperial fleets, were impossible to replicate with Earth's technology. Instead, the engineers created adaptive energy armor, a self-repairing system that redirected power to areas under threat, making the Erebus as resilient as it was efficient. Stealth technology, once dismissed as impractical in space, was reimagined using an experimental cloaking device. By bending light and scrambling electromagnetic signals, the Erebus could vanish from scanners, a ghost among the stars. But innovation came at a cost. Resources were painfully limited. Every component, from the fusion cores to the AI processors, required materials Earth could barely produce. Entire industries were repurposed, and civilian projects were put on hold. The global economy strained under the weight of Project Erebus, leading to protests and political infighting. Leaders debated the wisdom of investing so much in a single ship. What if it failed? What if it provoked the Empire further? Even within the project itself, morale wavered. The engineers faced countless setbacks: power systems overloaded during tests, the AI malfunctioned under stress simulations, and the stealth systems initially caused catastrophic hull instability. Months passed in a haze of frustration and exhaustion, as the team raced against the Empire's patience. Dr. Ilara Finch, the project's lead engineer, became the face of this relentless struggle. Her team worked around the clock, often sleeping in the hangars where the Erebus was being assembled. Finch's determination was infectious, but even she wasn't immune to the doubts that crept into the minds of her colleagues. Late at night, as she stared at the holographic schematics, she questioned whether the gamble was worth it. Admiral Marcus Kane, meanwhile, worked to secure the military's faith in the project. He spent countless hours briefing Earth's leadership, assuring them that the Erebus was not a fool's errand but humanity's best hope. His strategic insights shaped the ship's capabilities, ensuring it could function not only as a weapon but as a tactical disruptor, capable of destabilizing the rigid strategies of the Empire's fleets. Despite the challenges, the Erebus slowly began to take shape. Its sleek, obsidian hull was a stark contrast to the clunky designs of Earth's previous ships. Every feature was meticulously crafted to maximize efficiency and survivability. The experimental weaponry, kept classified even from most project members, was said to harness principles of quantum destabilization, capable of annihilating targets with terrifying precision. The team's breakthrough moments were hard-won but celebrated. When Astra passed its first combat simulation, the engineers cheered, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten. When the cloaking system finally stabilized, allowing the ship to disappear from even the most advanced scanners, the team knew they had achieved something remarkable. After years of toil and sacrifice, the Erebus was complete. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built, a testament to the ingenuity born of desperation. The ship was a marvel, but it was also an untested gamble. Its systems had been pushed to their limits in simulations, but no one knew how it would fare against the real thing. As the Erebus prepared for its maiden voyage, its creators could only hope that their efforts had been enough. Failure was not an option. For humanity, the stakes were clear: if the Erebus could not succeed, Earth would burn. The Empire's patience had run out. Earth's refusal to respond with immediate capitulation was interpreted not as defiance but as insolence, a delay to be punished. The Empire dispatched a fleet to the Sol system, a detachment of their second-tier ships. These were not the mighty dreadnoughts reserved for galactic wars but vessels powerful enough to crush a civilization like Earth. For the Empire, this was not a war, it was a lesson in compliance. The fleet entered Earth's orbit with ominous precision. Their ships, sleek and towering, dwarfed the antiquated satellites and space stations floating nearby. The Empire's commander delivered the ultimatum through a broadcast that echoed across Earth's communication networks. It was cold, efficient, and final. Humanity had one last chance to surrender unconditionally. Failure to comply would result in a demonstration of the Empire's displeasure. Earth's leadership scrambled to respond, their debates spilling into public view. The governments of Earth were united in theory but fractured in practice. Some argued for negotiation, even surrender, to preserve what little remained of humanity's fragile existence. Others, bolstered by whispers of the Erebus, advocated for resistance. But the time for deliberation ended when the Empire acted. Without warning, the Imperial fleet targeted Earth's outermost colonies. The settlements on Mars, fragile outposts struggling to maintain self-sufficiency, were the first to suffer. Orbital strikes rained down, obliterating key infrastructure and forcing thousands to evacuate into barely habitable shelters. The Moon, Earth's closest colony, was next. Its mining facilities and research stations were bombarded with ruthless efficiency, leaving behind craters and debris fields that glittered ominously in the void. The message was clear: Earth was powerless. The Empire had no need to deploy ground troops or engage in prolonged conflict. They could annihilate humanity's achievements from orbit, one target at a time. To them, it was a simple calculation: fear would bring Earth into line. But the Empire underestimated the resilience born of desperation. The destruction of the colonies, rather than breaking humanity's spirit, ignited a fire. The images of ruined settlements and fleeing colonists broadcast across Earth stirred both outrage and resolve. The final decision was made in a sealed chamber beneath the surface of Earth, where the planet's highest-ranking officials gathered. The Erebus would be deployed. The announcement sparked immediate reactions across the globe. For some, it was a beacon of hope, a sign that humanity would not bow without a fight. For others, it was a death sentence, a provocation that would bring the full wrath of the Empire upon Earth. News of the ship's deployment spread rapidly, inspiring both cheers and protests. Cities braced for retaliation, while underground shelters filled with those who feared the worst. The crew of the Erebus prepared for what they knew might be a one-way mission. Every individual on board, from Admiral Kane to the youngest technician, understood the stakes. There was no room for error, no margin for failure. The Erebus was a prototype, untested in real combat, but it was all humanity had. The ship's departure was as quiet as it was momentous. It launched from a hidden facility, rising silently into the darkened skies. Earth's population watched from their screens as the Erebus ascended, its sleek hull reflecting the faint glow of the atmosphere. The ship was a symbol of defiance, a fragile hope against the overwhelming power of the Empire. As the Erebus vanished into the void, cloaking systems engaged, the planet below held its breath. The Empire's fleet loomed in orbit, seemingly unaware of what was coming. Earth's fate now rested entirely on the shoulders of the Erebus, and the daring gamble of those who believed it could succeed. The Empire's fleet hovered ominously in Earth's orbit, their commanders confident in the inevitability of submission. To them, the presence of resistance from a fledgling planet was an amusing delay, not a credible threat. Then, the Erebus struck. The attack began with precision and subtlety. As the cloaked ship approached, its presence remained undetected. Imperial sensors, optimized for large-scale engagements and predictable enemies, failed to account for the stealth technology Earth had developed. The Erebus exploited blind spots in their formations, slipping through the gaps like a shadow. The first salvo came as a shock. A pair of frigates, smaller but well-armed vessels of the Empire's vanguard, erupted in cascading explosions. The Erebus moved with uncanny agility, delivering pinpoint strikes that disabled critical systems before vanishing again. Imperial communications scrambled to make sense of the attack, their disciplined formations disrupted by confusion. As the battle unfolded, the Empire quickly realized they were facing something unprecedented. The Erebus didn't rely on overwhelming firepower but on precision, adaptability, and unpredictability. Its AI, Astra, calculated maneuvers and firing solutions with a speed that outpaced human reaction, turning every encounter into a carefully orchestrated ambush. The Imperial fleet, accustomed to dominating through superior numbers and firepower, found itself outmaneuvered. The Erebus utilized tactics that no Imperial commander would have anticipated. It exploited gaps in sensor coverage, hacked into communication relays to sow misinformation, and feigned retreats to lure enemy ships into deadly traps. What the Empire had dismissed as a crude, unworthy vessel now moved like a predator, dismantling their formations with surgical precision. Despite its success, the battle was far from easy. The Erebus was still a prototype, and its systems were pushed to the brink. Energy levels fluctuated dangerously as the adaptive armor struggled to keep up with the sustained fire. The cloaking device, while effective, required careful power management to maintain operational stealth. The crew, though trained for the mission, operated under immense pressure, knowing that even a single misstep could spell disaster. The turning point came when the Imperial flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons, moved to engage. Its commander, determined to restore order and crush the defiant Earth ship, ordered a direct assault. The dreadnought's size and firepower dwarfed the Erebus, and for a moment, the Empire's confidence surged. But the Erebus had one last card to play. Its experimental weapon, a quantum destabilizer, had been designed as a last resort, a weapon of unimaginable power that could destabilize matter at a molecular level. The risks of using it were enormous, both to the ship itself and the surrounding area. But with the dreadnought bearing down, there was no other option. The Erebus emerged from its cloaked position, charging directly toward the flagship. It darted through the barrage of enemy fire, its adaptive armor barely holding. The Empire's commander, confident in their superior firepower, ordered all guns to focus on the Earth's ship. Then, in a flash of blinding light, the quantum destabilizer fired. The energy surge struck the flagship's core, bypassing its formidable shields and triggering a catastrophic reaction. The dreadnought disintegrated in an instant, its destruction sending shockwaves through the remaining fleet. Panic swept through the Empire's ranks. The destruction of their flagship, the unthinkable obliteration of one of their most powerful vessels, shattered their morale. For the first time in millennia, an enemy had not only resisted the Empire but dealt a devastating blow. The surviving ships hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Their tightly regimented command structure, reliant on the authority of the flagship, collapsed into disarray. One by one, the Imperial vessels began to retreat, their captains unwilling to risk further humiliation or destruction. The Erebus did not pursue. Its systems, pushed to their limits, barely held together as it drifted back toward Earth. The battle was won, but the victory was bittersweet. The ship had defied the odds and proven humanity's resilience, but at great cost. As the Imperial fleet disappeared into the void, Earth watched in awe and disbelief. Against all expectations, they had faced the might of the Empire and prevailed. The Erebus, scarred but triumphant, became a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of ingenuity and determination. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had been forced to reckon with a species they had dismissed as insignificant. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer a question. It was a fact, written in the wreckage of the Empire's fleet. The aftermath of the battle rippled across the galaxy with the force of a seismic shift. The Galactic Empire, long thought invincible, faced an undeniable truth: Earth had defeated them, not through sheer might but with ingenuity and determination. For the first time in centuries, the Empire found itself in an unfamiliar position, not as the unquestioned dominator, but as a humbled adversary forced to acknowledge an unexpected challenger. Earth's leaders, no longer cowering under the shadow of annihilation, convened with the Empire's representatives to negotiate the terms of a new relationship. These discussions, tense and fraught with posturing, marked a dramatic reversal of roles. Where once the Empire had dismissed humanity as irrelevant, they now spoke cautiously, their arrogance tempered by the memory of their shattered fleet. The Empire's acknowledgement of Earth's potential was grudging but unavoidable. Officially, they framed their retreat as a tactical recalibration, downplaying the scale of their defeat. Yet the whispers that spread among the stars told a different story, of a fledgling world that had dared to defy the mightiest force in the galaxy and survived. The implications of Earth's victory extended far beyond the Sol system. Across the galaxy, minor civilizations watched with rapt attention. For millennia, many had lived under the Empire's thumb, resigned to their subordinate roles. The destruction of the Imperial flagship and the retreat of their fleet lit a spark of hope among these downtrodden worlds. If Earth, a species so recently arrived on the galactic stage, could resist, then perhaps others could too. The Empire's defeat also triggered unrest within its own borders. The veneer of invincibility, carefully cultivated over centuries, was irreparably cracked. Questions arose among the Empire's member species and vassals. How could a single prototype ship from a backwater planet outwit the Empire's finest? The seeds of dissent began to grow, sowing the first whispers of rebellion among those who had long resented imperial rule. Meanwhile, on Earth, the victory spurred a profound transformation. For centuries, humanity had looked to the stars with a mixture of wonder and trepidation. Now they saw opportunity, a chance to carve out a place in the galaxy as equals, not subordinates. The battle had revealed their vulnerabilities but also their strengths. Leaders, scientists, and visionaries across the globe rallied to prepare for the challenges ahead. The Erebus, though battered and scarred, returned to Earth as a symbol of resilience and hope. Its crew were celebrated as heroes, their names etched into the annals of history. The ship itself became a cornerstone of a new era in human engineering and strategy. Its technologies, once experimental, now formed the basis of Earth's burgeoning fleet. Plans for new vessels, each more advanced than the last, were set into motion. Humanity's newfound confidence was tempered by pragmatism. The victory over the Empire was monumental, but it was only the first step. Earth's leaders knew the Empire's pride had been wounded, and the galaxy was a dangerous place where power struggles could erupt at any moment. To secure their place, humanity would need alliances, resources, and a deeper understanding of the galactic dynamics. The victory also brought questions of unity and identity to the forefront. Could Earth's diverse nations and cultures truly sustain the fragile cooperation that had led to their triumph? The answer would determine their ability to navigate the complexities of the galaxy. As Earth celebrated its survival and rising prominence, the Empire began regrouping. Behind the scenes, Imperial strategists analyzed the defeat, seeking ways to adapt and retaliate. Their acknowledgement of Earth's strength was not a surrender, it was a recalibration. The Empire would not rest on its laurels, and humanity's defiance ensured that future conflicts were inevitable. The story of Earth's defiance spread like wildfire, inspiring not only hope but curiosity. Diplomats from minor civilizations reached out cautiously, eager to establish ties with the species that had stood against the Empire. Exploratory missions ventured further into uncharted territory, driven by a new sense of purpose. As Earth looked to the stars, the galaxy looked back. Humanity had proven they were more than a fleeting curiosity, they were a force to be reckoned with. Yet their victory was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, its challenges immense, and its mysteries deep. In the final moments, humanity stood on the cusp of its next chapter. The triumph over the Empire had secured their survival, but the road ahead was uncertain. The stars, once distant and unknowable, now beckoned with both promise and peril. Humanity's rising star illuminated the galaxy, a beacon of hope and defiance that would shape the future in ways no one could yet foresee.